Hello, hello, hello. Are we there? Are we there? Is everybody here? Ah, what I wanted. Hello, hello, hello. This is Warren Redlick. Thank you for watching as I mess up my computer. Let's see. I think we're good to go. Insert ads to move money on a live. What the heck was that? I just got something about inserting an ad in the middle of a live stream. What? How are we doing? Can you guys hear me? YouTube is not receiving enough video to receive smooth streaming. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? I'm getting weird messages from YouTube. Maybe this isn't gonna work. Hello, hello, hello. It's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, view. Is it choppy? What do we got? Poor stream status. This is not good. I am not happy. We hear you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and you guys tell me in the chat if it's not good. Tell me in the chat if it's not good. Okay, so let's talk about Tesla. I'm in a McDonald's Wi-Fi. Audio is good. All right, so I'm in a McDonald's Wi-Fi. We're giving it a shot. It worked the other day. I have full Wi-Fi signal, so it should be working. So we'll see how it goes. All right, great. So let's start off with the news about Tesla. Everybody's probably seen this. Tesla delivered 254,000 vehicles in the second quarter. They produced 258,000 vehicles in the second quarter. This is great stuff. It's bad, because we were expecting a much higher delivery number. I should mention, just to thank you to McDonald's. I'm having a sweet tea. Thank you, McDonald's. If they only they would take Dogecoin. So the bigger news, if you read the highlighted part here, June 2022 was the highest vehicle production month in Tesla's history. So let's analyze that a little bit. So it's a record month for June. If they produced 305,000 vehicles in their best quarter, which I believe the last two quarters production was 305,000 vehicles, then their best month would be greater than 1/3 of 305,000, or at least 102,000 vehicles. Now, I believe April and May were particularly bad quarters from Shanghai, and we heard that the rumors are that Shanghai produced 70 to 75,000 vehicles in June. So I'm going with a guesstimate of 120,000 vehicles for June. I think we're going to find that out. So, I'm getting Starlink. Mark, I'm getting Starlink July 7th, Starlink is being delivered to my house. July 8th, I'm going to be at the house to pick up Starlink. I'm going to bring Starlink to my cabin, and I will be able to do things from my cabin with Starlink. Just an update there. So if it's 120,000 a month, that's a run rate of 1.44 million a year. 12 times 12 is 144. As I mentioned, estimates are that Shanghai produced 70,000 in June and maybe even 75,000. If Fremont produced 50,000, that gets at least 120,000 for the month. S and X, I think that's in this. S and X were 16,000. So S and X were 16,000, which means they only had to produce 34,000 of 3 and Y in Fremont to get to 120,000. I have a hunch it may be more than 120,000, but let's see what the numbers are. So then, if you look here, if you start thinking about where monthly production will rise to, okay, Shanghai if you're thinking about, I'm thinking about December of 2022. I meant to write that in here. I forgot to write that in here. So for December of 2022, I think we could see Shanghai hitting 90,000 or more a month. Fremont, by that time, will hopefully hit 50,000 or more a month, and maybe 60,000. Again, these are tentative numbers. Hopefully, by the end of the year, Texas and Berlin are at 20,000 a month, which is 5,000 a week, which was a intermediate goal. They may hit 10,000 a week, but I think 5,000 a week is a reasonable guesstimate for Texas and Berlin. That would be 180,000 a month, or over 2.1 million a year. Are we doing okay? Awesome. So, dead man wrestling with cell. So then you look forward to 2023. I'm always looking forward. I don't really care what the numbers were for Q2. I care where are we heading? Where's the future heading? I like hearing things like Shanghai produced 70,000 a month, and I think it's going to grow. And we know Shanghai's shut down right now to revamp to increase their production capacity to get to this 90,000 or more a month. So for 2023, we should see Texas and Berlin ramp to 50,000 a month or more in the following year, right? If we're looking at 20,000 a month, let's say December for Texas and Berlin, then we're looking at, so we should see a run rate of, sorry, I don't know if I said this. We should see a run rate in December 2022 of about 180,000 vehicles a month, which would be over 2.1 million vehicles a year. I'm going to get to where I think we're heading right at the bottom. You can see it, but for 2023, we should see Texas and Berlin ramp to 50,000 a month or more. Fremont should get to 60,000 or more. Shanghai might get to 100,000 or more. We might see the next Giga Shanghai up and running by the end of 2023. I don't know when they're going to start production. That's going to be in the Q&A later. So you're looking at in 2023, we're looking at the end of 2023, we're looking at over 260,000 a month or over 3 million a year. So that means we should expect production in 2023 of 2.5 million. I don't know what our number is going to be this year. I want to say we're still going to hit 1.5 million, but we only have like 550 or 560,000 for the first half of the year. So we would need to hit almost a million, like 940,000 just for the second half of the year. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a stretch to hit that 1.5 million goal that we've been talking about. So, sorry, let me just getting a little warm. I'm in the sun. I don't know if you guys can hear I don't think you can hear the fan. I think we're good. So, I'm sitting in the Model X, by the way. I don't know if you guys can see the Model X here. Whee! Model X. Now see if I can keep that. Oh, good. All right. So, Martin, what? Okay. So, oh, and by the way, the Starlink is coming because the zone that my cabin is in just became attainable. They just got enough satellites in orbit doing what they need to do to make my location accessible, reliably from Starlink. I'm going to be there for a couple more weeks after I get it, and then I'm going to head over to Canaveral. Actually, I'm going to be on the road for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'm going to head over to Canaveral area, and hopefully I'll be able to port the Starlink over to where I'm going to be in Canaveral, Merritt Island, probably. Okay, so anyway, I think as we're looking forward, I think these numbers are fairly conservative. People know I'm like an uber bull, an ultra bull, or whatever, but I think these numbers are actually fairly conservative. This assumes no new Shanghai. This leaves out Cybertruck production for 2023 when they've said they're going to produce Cybertruck. Are S and X going to ramp more? We're at 16,000 a quarter. That's 64,000 a year. S and X should get to 100,000 a year. So that would be from 16,000 a quarter up to 25,000 a quarter. And these are remarkable cars. This thing is something special. And I'll tell you something. If you drive a Model 3, I drove a Model 3, I would be at a supercharger and a turnpike stop and people would come up and ask me about the car. Just people who don't own Teslas. Now I'm driving a Tesla Model X Plaid and Tesla owners come up and ask me about the car. And it's amazing. The acceleration is mind-boggling. These cars are stunning. This car, like I've never driven a hypercar, okay, but I know it's faster than any hypercar out there other than a Tesla. I think there's it took like a $700,000 Ferrari to beat a Plaid X in a 0 to 60 in a quarter mile. I mean, you need a $700,000 sports car that probably weighs half as much as his car to beat it in a quarter mile. This is hilarious. And I don't think anything beats Plaid S. So, anyway, yeah, I don't think... let me just look at the chat really quick. I don't think bot's going to matter. Yeah, no fan noise. Good. All right. So, I think 2022, we might not even reach 1.4 million. Q2 was supposed to be a lot bigger. We'll see what's coming now. If you think Q3, if they did 120,000 in June... then we're on pace for 360,000 for Q3, and we're probably going to hit 400,000 for Q3. And then Q4, 500,000, 900 plus 5. That does get you over 1.4 million. It doesn't get you to 1.5 million. It's really a question of how fast Berlin and Texas ramp, how much more Shanghai can ramp, and whether they can squeeze anything more out of Fremont. And then, All right, I'll talk about, there's something else I want to talk about, but I'm going to cover it in the Q&A, so I'm not going to do it now. So that's Tesla news. I'm going to come back to Tesla in the Q&A in a minute. Let's just go back to SpaceX news. Now, this is why I'm moving to Canaveral. I believe that SpaceX, and I think Elon said, oh, by the way, I'm wearing the plaid hat. This is from the plaid event. I'm in a plaid X. I'm wearing a plaid hat. Oh no, I'm going to keep it on because the sun's on my head. One of the downsides of the Model X is the sun is shining into my car. So, they're building a tower for Starship at Canaveral. The Starship they're building a launch tower, and they've got the chopsticks for catching the booster and the Starship as they land. This is really, really cool, and my expectation is that Canaveral will do more launches than Starbase. And I have an oral agreement. I don't have it in writing yet. I'm waiting for the real estate agent to get me the agreement in writing. I have an oral agreement to rent space on Merritt Island. The space that I'm looking at has 6 rooms that I'll be able to use for multiple video rooms plus a lounge or 2, and then there's a balcony that will have launch views. So I'm hoping this goes through. Starting mid-August, I'll be at Canaveral. Any YouTubers, any supporters want to come hang out and watch launches, I'm gonna have a launch party. Probably every launch we're gonna have a launch party. I may start videoing launches from the balcony. I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with this space, but I'm excited about it. So anyway, at first I thought, wow, I'm kind of far from the launches, but it's actually a pretty good location. It's Merritt Island, not North Merritt Island, but it's a pretty good spot. There are better spots. I am thinking fall of next year I buy a house. I may try to buy a house that's even closer to the launches, to where Starship launches. The real advantage is because this will be ready in time when Falcon Heavy boosters come back and Falcon 9 boosters come back and land. This is actually a very close spot to where they land, so that's going to be cool also. All right, so anyway, lots of good news for SpaceX there. Other SpaceX news: they're making progress at Starbase. They're doing testing of the booster. They're doing they're preparing for static fire campaign. That's big stuff. Also, Starlink internet. Oh, did this get bumped down? No, okay. SpaceX has been approved to use Starlink on airplanes, ships, and trucks. So that's really cool. We already know about the RV option for Starlink. So there's a lot going on in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm not paying much attention to the chat. So Starlink is making progress, and I'm going to have my own personal experience with Starlink. In the future, I'm expecting nearly all of my live streams will, instead of from a McDonald's Wi-Fi or from a condo in Coral Springs, which is now over, my future live streams will probably be using Starlink internet. We'll see about that. Okay, so Boring Company news really quick. We're going to get back to Tesla in a minute. Boring Company connects its newest loop to Las Vegas Resorts World Complex. I was in Vegas. I saw the beginnings of where Resorts World was going to connect to the Boring Company tunnel system. Boring Company is moving forward. I'm telling you, if you get a chance, this is an opinion. This is not financial advice, but it's financial advice. If you get a chance, if you get a chance to invest in Boring Company, this company is going to grow like gangbusters. So I think it's like a $6 billion valuation now. This company's going to be worth trillions. Seriously, trillions. You're going to see tunnels in every major city in the world. You're going to see tunnels between cities. I think they're working on a tunnel system idea from Austin to San Antonio. That's just the beginning. They're rolling out. They're going to do 600 miles of tunnel soon in the United States, and then they're going to ramp up. And you're going to see many miles of tunnel, and the profit from owning a toll road is insane. It's going to be bonkers. So I'm really excited about that. But this is just the beginning, just the beginning. All right, so let's go on. If you are a supporter on Locals platform, on Patreon, or as a YouTube channel member, I usually, not always, but I usually post on those platforms and say, hey, if you have any questions for the Sunday live stream, I'll talk about them during the Sunday live stream, comment here. And only supporters on those platforms can submit those questions. So those questions get answered first. How are we doing on? Let me just see here. Oh, 250 people watching. Cool. Hello, everybody. So AK says he really likes my suggestions for the plaid yoke. If you look back on my channel, maybe a week or so ago, or maybe less, I did a video about the yoke steering wheel, which is on the refresh Model X and S, plaid or regular. The yoke steering wheel. And the yoke is great for one-hand driving, by the way. And I just think the buttons are not ideally placed. The buttons are fine, but I think adding some texture to where the buttons are on like a flat surface, and if there was some texture where the button is, that would be better. And I would move the right turn signal to the right side and the left turn signal up, and the wiper button down to the lower left next to the scroll wheel that controls wiper speed. Hey Elon, if you're listening, I know you're not, just a suggestion. Okay, so did Tesla purposely hamper the yoke to dissuade from manual driving? I don't find the yoke to be difficult at all. I find the yoke, and I should say, because the yoke is wider, it's like an inch or two wider than the Model 3 steering wheel. I compared it to my own Model 3, and I took a tape measure, and the Model 3 was like 13 and a half inches wide, and the Tesla, the yoke on the Plaid X is like, or the yoke in general is like 15 inches wide, so you get an extra. There's a little bit more leverage. It's easy to grab corners. But anyway, check my video about it. I don't think this is a bad thing. I think this is a good thing, and I've seen other people say it. Once you get used to driving the yoke, a steering wheel is like, what is this thing? Why do they make these things so awkward? Really easy to grab hold of. Yeah, if you have the habit of putting your hand down on the top of the wheel, okay, you got to break some habits. And honestly, I'm still not adjusted to the left and right turn signals where they're located. Elon, please fix that. Daniel asks, did you already cover Elon's comment about his new factories burning cash? I don't know if I covered it on YouTube, so let's talk about that now. I think it was Tesla Club Silicon Valley with Ryan from Kilowatts and Eli, the Starman. His name is not hitting me right now. And there was like 4 guys in the room. They did an interview with Elon that was like 3 or 4 hours long, broken into 3 parts, and like every time they released a part, the media looked through like an hour plus of video to pick out the one thing that might be bad if you took it out of context to say something bad about Tesla. The practical reality is that Elon was talking about simple reality. When you build a factory and it's not producing cars yet, you spend a couple $1 billion on the factory, you've got all this staff, you've got all this stuff going on, and it's losing money until it starts producing cars in volume. What's the big deal? They have 18 billion in cash. If they lose $1 billion here and $1 billion there, it's no big deal. As long as they're making money elsewhere in the company, the profits are still going up. Shanghai's, making money like crazy. Fremont's making money. This is not a big deal. It's so dumb. But it's in the nature of you build a factory. You spend $1 billion or $2 billion to build your factory. Think about how big Giga Texas is. I have no idea how much they spent building that. They supposedly $1 billion or $2 billion. That thing, it's like one of the biggest buildings in the world. It's ridiculous. I mean, they did at Cyber Rodeo. They had this video demonstration of how big Gigafactory was, and it was like, if you compared it to skyscrapers, it was like 10 skyscrapers, but it's all on the ground. It's crazy. It's ridiculously huge. So you spent all this money building this factory. Until it starts producing cars in volume, you're losing money on it. That's all that means. Will supply chains get fixed in time for the new factories to make money for Tesla before eating up all their cash reserves? They're not even close to eating up their cash reserves. Cash reserves are growing. There's no problem with cash. Tesla, he also said, he was worried about Tesla going bankrupt, which, look, if society collapses, then Tesla might go bankrupt. Right? But if society collapses, most of us have bigger problems than this. So, the supply chain's an issue for everybody. As far as I can tell, everybody I've talked to some Tesla insiders, I've talked to others. Tesla's pretty good on supply chain. They're doing better than most people, most companies. They're doing better than the country in general. They've got their own batteries, right? They're ramping up production of their own batteries. They've got long-term contracts with big battery suppliers like CATL and LG Chem and Panasonic. So Tesla has much better supply chains for batteries. Chips, they're more adaptable to using different chips if there's a chip problem. So, there's always supply chain issues and everybody's facing them, but it's generally speaking starting to get a little bit better, supposedly. I just want to really quickly comment. There's all this talk about a recession, and I definitely think there's some issues going on in the economy. But I saw somebody mention this. Boy, they were in Vegas and there was like a ton of activity. And I'm in Florida, and I've been all over Florida. There's a ton of activity. I see people, you know, the roads are busy. I'm roughly in the Orlando area. Lake Wales, Florida is south of Orlando. Tons of activity all over the place. You know, in a recession, you kind of expect things to kind of, people are hunkered down, there's no jobs, people aren't doing stuff. People are still, now, maybe there's a part of the country where things have slowed down, but it ain't in Florida, and apparently it isn't in Las Vegas. So I'm not sure where. So it's a weird recession. Why would Tesla open in Osaka, Japan, if Japan is a dying nation? That's a great question. Thank you, Jupiter James, for that question. So for those who don't follow, I've been talking about, I think Tesla's next factory location, not next factory, because the next factory will be in Shanghai. I think there'll be new factories in Texas and maybe Berlin. But I think their next factory location is very likely to be Osaka. Why Osaka? Number one, Panasonic is building a 4680 factory in Wakayama, Japan, right outside of Osaka. Panasonic is a partner of Tesla. Nobody else uses 4680s, so who are they making 4680s for? If they're going to make 4680s in Wakayama, Japan, that's a really good place to locate a factory. Yes, Japan is starting to shrink. Its population is starting to shrink, but Japan is still the world's 4th largest car market, and it will take time. Like, you know, when you build a factory, you're expecting productivity out of that factory for 20 plus years. So Japan isn't going to be dead in 20 years. It's a generational issue that 2, 3, 4 generations from now, Japan's population is going to be a lot lower. But that's, you know, 50 years away. Japan will still be the 4th largest car market in the world in 20 years. And when they make vehicles in Japan, they can sell them in other places. Toyota makes vehicles in Japan and sells them here. So, but I think it's a combination of Hiromichi Mizuno being on the Tesla's board, and he's got Osaka connections, Panasonic having Osaka connections. I forget the Japanese billionaire who's, you know, going to be doing the Dear Moon mission. I think Elon knows how to work the system. I think Tesla, you know, between Hiromichi Mizuno, I think they're going to be able to make it happen in Osaka, and I think it's a good location. And, you know, by the way, the drop off from the 4th largest car market in the world to the 5th largest market is a big one, and a lot of countries are having population issues. So the fact that Japan's population might decline is a small thing. Okay, let me move on to, did that here. Dan asked, have you noticed that there's an apparent Elon talking point making the rounds? Bank of America says legacy auto will overtake Tesla soon. The competition is coming. Even Diess, that's the Volkswagen CEO, who's been heard many times lamenting Tesla's lead, is now saying that Tesla is weak. I don't think he said Tesla's weak, and we will take the lead away. Look, there's a lot of talk about other companies growing. What was the one I saw that Volkswagen is going to surpass Tesla in 2024 by producing 2 million electric vehicles? Look, I just gave you the numbers. Where was my numbers? I'm expecting Tesla to have 2.5 million in 2023. So if Volkswagen hits 2 million in 2024, they won't. But if Volkswagen managed to hit 2 million in 2024, they'd still be behind Tesla. And there's no way Volkswagen's getting to 2 million vehicles in 2024. There is, I think it's July 7th. There's going to be some presentation by Volkswagen. I think it's in the morning on the US East Coast. It's like afternoon in Germany. They're doing some kind of presentation. I think they're coming close to starting their own battery factory. I mean, I give Volkswagen credit. Volkswagen is making progress. They're doing better than most. I think Hyundai and Kia might be doing better. But Volkswagen is doing about as well as anybody else in the legacy auto world of building EVs. I think the ID4, the ID3, the ID Buzz looks pretty cool to me. Other people don't like it. I think the ID Buzz looks pretty cool. A Porsche Taycan is basically a Volkswagen Group vehicle. Audi, you know, Volkswagen's doing more than others. But the idea that they're going to get to 2 million vehicles, where are they getting their batteries from? Where are they? How come Tesla has supply chain issues and everybody thinks that the other companies don't? Volkswagen is going to have supply chain issues too. So, who's providing the script? Big oil, I guess. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm just not worried about that. This is my supporter Jim. I'm sorry, I sort of censored a little bit of his question, but he's talking about that Bank of America quote. Only Tesla has working battery factories and long-term contracts. Even to match Tesla's current 1 million a year, you need to get enough batteries to build 1 million EVs. Ford and GM need more cells per automobile because they're not as efficient, right? A Model 3 Y has 70 to 80 kilowatt hours of cells. I think the smallest battery pack in a Model 3 or Model Y is probably around 60 or 62 kilowatt hours, and the largest battery pack is around 82 kilowatt hours. Unclear what the 4680, I think we're around 69 kilowatt hours on the Model Y 4680. And yeah, Ford needs over 100 kilowatt hours for low range. And by the way, just a real quick note, I should have, I don't think I had the picture handy. I went to a Chevy dealer yesterday to use their free charger, which of course didn't work. And they had two 2022 Bolt EUVs on the lot, marked for fleet sales only. I'm actually thinking I want to reach out to GM and see if they'll let me buy a Bolt EUV. I think my ex-wife would like to have that vehicle. It's only like $34,000. 247 miles range is kind of weak, but that would be enough for her. Already have the NEMA 1450 sort of semi-universal charging outlet in the garage. That could be a good vehicle for her. So I'm wondering if I can talk GM into letting us do a long-term test of a Bolt EUV, because I think even though it's not a Tesla, I think it's a practical electric vehicle. And you know, $34,000 when the cheapest Tesla is like $48,000. 247 miles range isn't that bad. She might like that better. My ex-wife doesn't like the interface of a Tesla. She's used to it, 40 some years or 30 some years of driving a regular car. Anyway, so I'm kind of interested in that. I don't remember how big the battery pack is in that vehicle, but I don't know. I think all legacy auto vehicles are gross. But anyway, so that, I agree with Jim that it's very hard for the other companies to match Tesla because they need bigger battery packs to get comparable range. And if they don't have bigger battery packs, they have less range, and it's an issue. And my personal experience now driving across the country and back is range matters. Like this vehicle, typically I go 180 to 200 something miles, low 200s, even though it has 333 miles of range, because you don't go from 100 to 0, 0 to 100, whatever. You're typically doing 180 to maybe 210 miles between charging stops. If you're going 85 miles an hour, you cut into the range a lot. If you drive in West Texas, 85 miles an hour is kind of slow. And it's as aerodynamic as this vehicle is, it's a big frontal surface area pushing through the wind. It's up high and everything. You're just really degrading your range. So, you want more range. And like around town driving, it doesn't matter. If you're driving, less than 100 miles a day, let's say, and you plug in every night, you don't notice the range issue. The range issue only matters when you go on long trips. And that probably won't be an issue. So that could save a lot of money for my ex-wife. Anyway, all right, let's go. We get along, by the way, if anybody's wondering. So Jim, this is a continuation of Jim's comment. So how will Ford or GM get enough batteries? And of course, VW is supposed to surpass Tesla. So somehow 3 automakers are going to have each taken on way more batteries than Tesla. Where are they getting the batteries? Because in order to surpass Tesla, you have to get more batteries than Tesla because your vehicles are less efficient. It's literally impossible in the timeline. Tesla has owned a battery factory for years, making batteries in Fremont, will expand Austin, Texas, and Berlin battery. Berlin's going to produce batteries as well, Jim. Ford, GM, and VW have basically nothing. I think Volkswagen is close to building a battery factory in Salzburg, Germany, or Salzburg, Austria, or something like that. But to ramp that factory, and that's only going to produce something like 40 gigawatt hours, which is something. But I think that's 400,000 vehicles. I forget the number. That's not like 4 million vehicles. Like you've got to build a lot of batteries to get there. Ford can easily build over 1 million F-150 trucks, but they can only build 14,000 F-150 EVs because they don't have batteries. Clown world. Thank you, Jim. So I love Jim. And then Swirly says, has the second factory in Shanghai started yet? If so, why no woo-wah videos? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think they've started building the second factory in Shanghai yet. I believe it was 11 months from first shovel in the ground to first vehicle rolling out of the factory in Shanghai. Good chance that the second factory will actually get started quicker. That timeline will shrink from 11 months to maybe 10 months. So let's suppose they put the first shovel in the ground today. That would mean that factory would start delivering vehicles in Q3 of next year. So ultimately, we're going to see Shanghai, the 2 factories producing over 2 million vehicles a year, We're going to see Texas producing probably over 2 million vehicles a year. Berlin probably 1 million vehicles a year. Fremont will probably get up to 1 million vehicles a year. And then there's going to be new factories in other locations. And there may be additional factories in Texas and in Berlin. So we're seeing a lot of growth. We're going to see, I see, I don't want to say 6 million in 2024, but 4 or 5 million in 2024. In 2025, we're going to hit 6 million plus. And then, the 2024 is when the robo-taxi factories start. We should see the robo-taxi factories start being built in 2023. And my guess is we're going to see at least 4 of those going up at the same time. Berlin, Texas, Shanghai, 3, and maybe a 4th one in Osaka, right? So that's how that, and maybe Indonesia. I think they were talking about to the Indonesian government about doing a factory. So Indonesia might work. That may make sense. I don't know. So I think we're going to see production could really sky if they can scale battery production. We're waiting for Master Plan 3 on that. Okay, so that was the supporters. Again, please support this channel. If you're in the chat, the pinned link is for warrenredlick.locals.com, my locals platform. The t-shirts are at elonbits.com. This means critical thinking. People ask me about the shirt all the time. My shirts will get people to ask you questions. The Let's Make Baby shirt, the insanely gigantic shirt, the Tesla Air shirt, and the Tesla's the next Tesla shirt don't draw as much attention, but they're cool and they're the most popular shirts. The Cybertruck shirt, one of the most popular shirts. So please check out elonbits.com. You can support this channel on the YouTube as a YouTube channel member, and you can support this channel on Patreon. Any support is appreciated. I personally prefer that you join the Locals platform, and I will be streaming later today from the Locals platform, where I tend to talk more about politics. I still talk some about Tesla and SpaceX and the Boring Company on that platform. That's a free speech platform, and I'm going to be talking about a tweet from Joe Biden today about Joe Biden's tweet yesterday about gas stations. So, all right, let me just look in the chat now. What do I think Austin's run rate is while they have to build with 2170? Well, so Austin's 2170 run rate, I think there's only one line. So I think they could achieve 250,000 vehicles a year on that line. I think maybe they could do more than that, but a good guess is 250,000, 300,000. Ultimately, I think the 4680 line will have a higher run rate because it's simpler manufacturing and it's designed to be faster. How do I feel about my Model X seats? Yeah, I heard they're bloody comfortable. Hope you are loving it. Good vibes. The Model X seats are spectacular. Right now I'm running the air conditioning. The seats are ventilated, and so right now I'm running the ventilated seats. And my joke is hashtag my butt is cool. My butt is cool. I can actually hear it. I actually noticed that you can hear the seat ventilation going. I can hear it, not you can hear it. Did I hear about the 4680 Model Ys being artificially software limited? Thoughts? Yes, Ryan from Kilowatts charged a Model Y 4680 faster than expected. So the theory is that the 0 isn't really 0 and the 100 isn't really 100. If you charge a Tesla, I forget, I think he charged it from 0 to 100 in like 50 minutes or something like that. When you get closer to full capacity on a nickel-based battery, and I think even a lithium iron phosphate battery, there's less space for the electrons to get into the cathode. The ions have to come back into the cathode. So I don't know if electrons or ions is the right word. I'm not that good on physics, but there's less space in the bookshelf, so it's harder for the ions to get in, so charging rate slows down. When the battery's low, there's a lot more space and the ions can flow in faster. So if you're charging at 10%, you get 250 kilowatts. As you go up and you get closer to the top, the rate falls to maybe 32 kilowatts, a much slower rate of charge. So the hunch is that the 0 isn't really 0, the 100 isn't really 100. There's really more room in the battery pack than they admitted, and at some point they may offer the 4680 Model Y owners a software unlock of additional battery capacity. That's a theory. Because it's kind of odd that Tesla employees would be buying a vehicle with, less range but they would do it if they know. Like the Tesla employees were the first customers for 4680 Model Y. They might know. Nobody's saying it, but they might know. So yeah, the seats are, I drove across the country and back in these seats and they never got uncomfortable. The Model X seats are really fantastic. Oh, that's not bad, Johnny. SpaceX t-shirt, launch, land, repeat. Not bad. You don't really land though, you really get caught. Happy 4th of July, everybody. It's not really 4th of July. Is today the 4th? No, today's the 3rd. I think we're going to see dedicated Moon. Yes, I think we're going to see dedicated robo-taxi factories. Elon talked about it. Oh yeah, elonbits.com for merch. Thank you, Mark. National U.S. survey shows only about 30% of third-party chargers work on any given day. You know, I just went to, there's a mall in Sebring, Florida, where I've been spending a lot of time lately. My mom's in an assisted living facility in Sebring, and my apocalypse cabin where I'm staying for a few weeks is in Lake Placid, just south of there. There's a mall, it's Lakeshore, I think it's called Lakeshore Mall in Sebring. And there were free chargers. So I would plug in and charge, go inside, order something from like the Chinese restaurant, use the Wi-Fi and sit and get work done for an hour or two or something. So there's free chargers and there's DC fast chargers. The free chargers, the charging setup was taken over from Duke Energy by Shell. And Shell apparently turned off the free chargers. They indicate on the chargers or whatever that it's 15 cents a kilowatt hour plus 6% sales tax, which is a pretty good price. Even if it's not free anymore, 15 cents a kilowatt hour is a pretty good price. But they're not working. So I pull up to charge and like, okay, 15 cents a kilowatt hour, fine, that's a pretty good deal. And I tried to charge and they didn't work. And I pulled into a Chevy dealer and I tried to charge and the charger kind of seemed to be working, but wasn't adding any kilowatt hours. So I went over to, there's Tesla destination chargers at the Sebring airport, and I spent like a couple hours there charging at 10 kilowatts or something. And I'm actually going to stop there on the way home today and charge and get some work done. I have a specific thing. My safety score is 97, and I'm going to try to do a spreadsheet of every day of my safety score and what my numbers were on the different 5 characteristics to see what's influencing safety score. Hold on. Okay. Let's go with keep. So, all right. Any fan noise yet? Let's see. Buy a used Tesla. Used Teslas aren't cheap. Leave with 50 miles on a full charge. Did I swear? I don't remember swearing. Salt Skater, thank you, Robert Eve. Let's see. Go to Haines City to our place and get a calzone. You can thank me later. Calzones are very bready, B. I'm doing a whole low carb thing. Calzones, that's very bready. I love calzones, but that's very, very bready. Not a good idea. Is there a way to invest in SpaceX or Boring Company, or invest in any or both? I have looked at investing in SpaceX. You really need to be wealthy to invest in Boring Company or SpaceX because of federal regulations on investing in companies that are not publicly traded. And I am wealthy enough that I could qualify for some of these investments, but you really need to have a lot of money. And then typically the minimum investment in something like that is $100,000. So most people don't have $100,000 ready to invest. So I did have and so you can go to Shares Post and Equity Zen, I think, are 2 websites, and you can look for opportunities to invest in SpaceX and Boring Company, and there are other ways of investing. And typically what I've seen is you don't buy directly, you buy through a fund, and the fund charges you like a 6% commission to buy in, and then they charge you 2% management fee a year, and then they charge you 20% of the profit that you earn. And it's like, you know, I can buy Tesla stock and not pay all these fees, and I think Tesla is going to grow like crazy. So for Boring Company, I would jump at it. I'm not convinced that SpaceX is going to grow its valuation I don't think SpaceX's valuation is going to go up more than Tesla's. Boring Company might. Boring Company going from $6 billion valuation to $1 trillion valuation, that's a big jump. That might be more than I think Tesla can jump. So paying all those commissions in order to get that 200x, that might be worth it. So let's see here. Oh, Martin, the hat is from the Plaid event. This is swag from the Plaid event. I actually got invited to the Tesla Plaid event, and attendees, I don't know if everybody got this. I think everybody got this hat. So as far as I know, you can't buy it. Looking at SpaceX, Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab is public. The problem with Rocket Lab, I love Rocket Lab. I don't know how much space there is left for competitors once Starship starts launching with frequency. because they're going to be launching so much payload to orbit. It's like, well, what's the need for a smaller rocket company at that point? I don't know. I don't know how much market they're going to have. Looking for a second-hand Model 3, should I go standard, long range, or performance? Market depends on what you need. If you want more range, then you want long range. But I don't think you're going to find a deal on a used model, on a used Tesla. They're very expensive. Sometimes they cost more than a new one. Oh, the hats are on eBay for $200. I guess I should sell it, but I'm not going to. Thin crust cauliflower pizza, no thanks. If I'm gonna eat pizza, I'm gonna eat pizza. If I'm gonna eat a calzone, I'm gonna eat a calzone. I'm not gonna eat a fake one. What do you think Musk will end up paying for Twitter? Well, the offer was $44 billion. With the stock market decline and everything, and all the issues with bots, my guess is they negotiate a price of under $40 billion. But it's so hard to know. That stuff is so inside baseball. I don't know what that's going to be. Robo taxi factories won't be built until FSD is done and approved by regulators. At least 5 years for the latter to happen. No. So I talked to a Tesla insider. I believe that there will be a version of that robo taxi vehicle that will have a steering wheel and pedals, particularly for certain countries that are poorer and can't afford a Model 3, and they're hoping to deliver that vehicle for $25,000 a piece in poor countries, in poorer countries than the United States. But I think that you're going to see, I'm much more optimistic about FSD. I think we're going to see FSD cross a line. I think Dojo is online. The fact that I should talk about this, they laid off, was it 1,000 data labelers? They laid off all these people. Why did they lay off data labelers? Because they don't need them anymore, because Dojo's online doing auto labeling and it's doing really well. So auto labeling is doing really well. Dojo is online, so FSD is going to start improving faster. With Dojo online, FSD improves faster. It makes bigger jumps on each update, and the updates happen more frequently. That's what I think is going to happen starting soon. We're going to start seeing beta improve faster, and we're going to start seeing FSD go into wide release. And once it's working, and once it's clearly safer than human, it doesn't take that long. I'm trying to remember I don't know if it was James Dalma or James Stevenson. I went over the numbers with somebody, that the amount of time it takes to accumulate the miles to show the quality, when you have 100,000 vehicles, I think they're going to have, by the time that they go wide release, they're going to have at least 200,000 vehicles with FSD. You know, you need to generate, let's say, 1 billion miles to show something. Well, 200,000 vehicles get to 1 billion miles fast, right? That's the issue, is you're going to get to the miles fast. So you'll have, you know, within a few months, you're going to have enough data to show, hey, this has clearly got fewer accidents than without it. So I'm just going back in the chat here to see other questions. I'm meeting a friend in 15 minutes, so this is going to end in like 10 minutes. Do I think must? Try finding the turn signal when you're in a roundabout circle. Why am I signaling during a roundabout? People come up with the weirdest things. Well, this is my point. If you have the turn signals at your thumbs, then it's easier to find the turn signal. But let's face it, this is America. People don't signal anyway. Japan is perfect for Tesla bot. Yes, I agree with that. Be nice says, my mom lives in Lake Wales. Cool. I'm in Lake Wales right now. Tell her to come to the McDonald's. But I'm only going to be here I'm going over to All-Star Grill. If she wants to find me, I'll be at All-Star Grill. Why would Tesla okay, well, I think we covered that. Did anyone see the new mega chargers? 3.75 kilowatt output. Is that 3.75 megawatt output design? I have not seen that. Where did you see that, Core Glass? 500,000 square foot expansion at Giga Austin. Yoke is currently in use by many manufacturers. Why is it only an issue for Tesla? I haven't seen Yoke on other vehicles. Giga Berlin is adding lots of solar on the roof. Cool. Eli Burton, thank you, Marcus. At least I got his first name right. I was thinking Barton for some reason. How are we doing on we have 449 people. Oh yeah, please check my channel. Yesterday I did a live stream about the Tesla shareholder vote. I actually haven't voted yet. I'm still waiting to see if I get to go to the meeting. But basically, short version is the first 5 proposals, please vote yes. This is my opinion. You form your own judgment, but you can watch my video yesterday. The first 5 proposals are Tesla proposals, please vote yes. The other 8 or 9 of them are either special interests trying to manipulate Tesla for their own gain. Again, these are opinions. Or they are woke proposals to hamper Tesla, from make it harder for Tesla to get things done. Look, if I'm going to say this, as woke, however woke you are, if you think climate change is a threat, I'm not saying I think climate change is a threat, but if you think climate change is a threat, no one is doing more about climate change than Tesla. So why would you make it harder for Tesla to achieve what it's doing? Why? Why would you try to hamper Tesla? It's like, oh, we need to have gender and race diversity reports, and oh, we need to have child labor reports, and oh, can you just let Tesla? First of all, Tesla's very attentive to those issues. They talk about them in their impact report every year already. So what is this addition? Why are you creating more paperwork? Why are you creating more hassles for the company that's doing more about climate change, the issue you supposedly care about more than anything else? Or unless, have we changed? Has wokeism changed? Is climate change no longer the greatest threat to humanity? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. All right, let's see. My thoughts on Berlin's likelihood of gas shortage. I'm not too worried about that. I think the thing is that Tesla is always good about sourcing supply chain issues. They always get ahead of the game. So if they think there's a problem, they're ahead of it before anybody else. Oh, and I just want to mention, by the way, I mentioned before that the Bolt EUV, that I saw 2 2022 Bolt EUVs in a parking lot in Sebring, Florida, Chevy parking lot. I think Chevy is producing the Bolt again. I think they are making progress on the Bolt. You know, they did 26 in Q4 of 2021, but I think they're making some progress. If Sebring, Florida, which is the middle of nowhere, doesn't have a lot of EVs, if they've got a couple on their lot, then there's something happening. And I'm rooting for GM to make more EVs. I want other companies to make more EVs. That's good for society. Shanghai is down for tooling right now to increase production. Berlin's ramping. Texas ramping. This is Victor. Hi, Victor. A platted 216 miles per hour. I think that was a modified Plaid S. Yes. And I'll say, by the way, apparently I hit 138 miles an hour in Irvine, California. Come get me, California. And it was accelerating hard at 138 miles an hour, this Plaid X. So the top speed of 149, I didn't test it, but I don't believe it. Did Tesla make me rich? Yes. I invested in Tesla starting in 2016. I bought stock like 30 times. And on the vast majority of my shares, I'm up a lot. And I expect it's going to go up a lot more, and I'm going to be even richer. But am I rich? For Sebring, Florida, for Lake Wales, Florida, I'm rich. For Boca Raton, I'm not that rich. For Santa Barbara, California, for Santa Monica, for Malibu, California, I'm not that rich. So, all right, let's see. Let me go back to let's see if there's any other questions in the chat. What's the Bolt run rate, 12 per week? I think they're probably doing more. I think Bolt is making progress. I'm optimistic about Bolt. With stock market down, what is worth investing in? So this is one of the questions, you know, when I see people, there was just a long conversation on Twitter Spaces that Omar Kazi, Omar's blog, hosted. I co-hosted towards the end. There's this talk about it's a recession and, you know, all these reasons why Tesla stock's going to fall. And the interesting question is, if you're going to sell Tesla stock, where are you going to put the money? You're going to hold cash in an inflationary environment? That's not a good choice. You can invest in bonds, low interest rates compared to inflation. That's not a good choice. Are you going to buy stock in GM or Ford? What's a safe investment or a sound investment in times like this? And my attitude is, a company that is producing in high volume and growing fast and profitably is probably the best place to put your money. So I don't get where else you would put your money other than Tesla. Now, and I'm all in. Basically, I have a few other investments, a little bit of real estate, some firearms, some gold and silver, and a few other things. Let's see. When will the split likely happen? I think the split will be approved at the annual meeting on August 4th, and the split will happen sometime in August. I'm not big on splits. I don't care about splits. I'm not against them. I just don't think they make that big of a deal. I think people think about them too much. Legola asks about the limiting factor in Sandy Monroe doing 4680 cell teardowns Will I be reacting to their videos? Probably not. I'm in a weird state right now where I'm living in an apocalypse cabin. I will be getting Starlink next week, so maybe that frees me up to get more done. And then I'm going to be driving around the country for 3 or 4 weeks starting in late July. I get settled. I start getting settled in August 15th-ish in Canaveral area, and I expect my video output to start increasing once I'm settled in Canaveral, and that'll probably take a week or so to get settled, if not longer. But once I get settled, I'm expecting to have multiple rooms for shooting video, a green screen room and a regular room, and editing, probably editing in the same room. I haven't figured out how I'm going to lay out everything, but so I expect to increase my output of YouTube videos once I'm in that space, hoping that that goes forward. How is my special project coming along? The pod car, again, these things are waiting until I get settled. I am planning to order something I'm gonna do it wrong. I'm gonna do wrong what Tesla did wrong. I'm gonna start by modifying a vehicle to make the initial pod car. And I assume that's what you're talking about, Martin. I don't know if you're talking about something else. I don't know which special project you're talking about, but you're talking about the pod car. I'm gonna modify an existing type of vehicle to make something that looks about like I expect the pod car to be. The pod car, for people who aren't familiar with this, I'm going to build a single passenger electric vehicle. I have a plan for ultimately raising money to fund it, hire an engineering team. I'm going to build an initial prototype, which is really just, it's about the right size, it's about the right look, but it won't really be the underlying drivetrain. It's it comes with a functional drivetrain. I'm just going to modify it to make it about right. People have made suggestions about other things, but I think I found the right platform to modify to get close. Not going to be identical, but it's going to be close. And then I'm going to hire an engineer. Once I get funding round done, unless Tesla stock triples or quadruples by that time, and then I can fund it myself, hire an engineering team and really engineer the heck out of, because the goal, I want to get to 20 miles per kilowatt hour. I want to get to a production cost of trending towards a production cost of $1,000 a vehicle. I want to get to a trending towards a penny a mile cost to the owner of operating the vehicle. So that's, unless you were talking about something else. Am I excited for AI Day 2? Yes, I'm hugely excited about AI Day 2. I expect bot prototype. I expect update on Dojo. I expect update on FSD beta status. We're probably going to be on 10.13 or 10.14 by then. Lots of great things with that. Where's the beautiful woman that should be sitting next to you? I was talking to a beautiful woman. We'll digress for a second. I was talking to a beautiful woman about possibly spending a week together, and she didn't say yes. She didn't say no, but she didn't say yes, and I'm taking it as a no. So if you're out there, if you're watching this, you got to tell me yes if you want me to spend a week with you. I really think this is a promising person, somebody I really like, but not without problems, but that's something I would like to take a shot at, but so far that's a no. Until it's a yes, it's a no. Hummer run rate 12 per week. Who and where is Dojo chip produced? I think Dojo chip is produced in Texas by Samsung. Maybe. I'm not certain about where they're making Dojo chip. I thought it was, I don't even know if we know that. That's a good question. Where do I think the first robotaxi will be rolled out? I think the first robotaxi will be in California, Texas, Las Vegas, or Florida. I would like to see it in Florida, obviously, but I think it's one of those. So, how many Starlinks can fit on Starship? I think probably, remember, the Starlink that's going to be going on Starship is a bigger Starlink satellite. I think it's twice the size. So probably more than 100, but I'm not sure how many. I was originally thinking 400, but that was the original size. So 100 to 200 is my best guess. I love the Pez dispenser concept of how they're going to get rid of it, how they're going to release it. Thank you, Brian. I'm actually, people ask about the woman thing. I've kind of given up on women. I mean, I'd like to find a woman and all that, but I just kind of like, it's too much effort. It's too hard. I'm 56 and women under 35 are just not interested. And it's like, all right, look, if you're under 35 and you're a woman and you want to have kids and you like Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company, you want to watch rocket launches, you want to live near Canaveral, you want to have some fun, you want to go to Tesla events, you want to go to SpaceX events, you want to, live that life, let me know. But I don't know who you are. I can't reach out to you. So I'm reaching out to you through this. So you're saying there's a chance. I'm enjoying the single. Honestly, that's the thing. I enjoy being single. Philip says, enjoy being single. Honestly, I like being single. I want to have kids. The joke is that having a child through a surrogate is going to cost like $100,000, and having a wife costs $1 million. So, and I tell that joke, and everybody's like, "Well, no, that's kind of true." Yeah, it is kind of true. So, maybe the D1 chip is TSMC. I'm not sure. All right, so I'm out of time. I got to go meet a friend in 5 minutes. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you to Mark Plott, and I think March Potashnik was also moderating. Ever thought of leaving the country? People always say go to the Philippines or Thailand or Colombia or wherever to find a wife. Look, I'm here. Ellie, I think Ellie's a great fit, but Ellie, you know, it turns out she has to like you. I mean, Ellie likes me, but not that way. So, the woman one of the criteria for a woman to be the woman for me is she has to like me, and turns out I'm not that likable. Missy Paz says requirement she has to be 21 years or more younger than you. She has to be fertile, Missy. I'm sorry about human physiology. I want to have children. I don't just want a woman. I want to have children. It's like a primary goal for me is I want to have children. And women over 35, it's much more difficult to have children. And then you get to 40. And look, we meet at 35. We get married at 36. We start having kids at 37. It's getting harder and harder and harder. So you start with 40. It gets really, really hard. So, and you know, the risk of problems and the risk of not getting pregnant is just all that bigger. So anyway, I'll be at the All-Star Grill for a couple hours with my friend Alex and his family. So thank you everybody for watching. Thanks again to the moderators. Please check out elonbits.com for the t-shirts. Please check out my other videos. Support the channel on Locals, Patreon, or YouTube channel member. Thanks everybody so much for watching.